Now, how about this? For a working lunch price tag, $650,000. That is what one hedge fund manager paid for the opportunity to sit down with the Oracle of Omaha, the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett, and, well, looks like it's paying off big time. Let's welcome in the gentleman who paid that large figure, and that is Mohnish Pabrai. He is managing partner of Pabrai Investment Funds and joins me this morning from California. Mohnish, good to see you.
Well, Alexa, it's good to be here.
So, what a story. You spend $650,000 in a lunch dating back in 2007 to have that lunch with the Oracle of Omaha. First of all, why did you do it, and what was it like?
Well, the real driver for the lunch was to just thank Warren. Basically, I've been using his, if you will, his intellectual property, his approach to investing for about 15 years. And even though it's all public domain, I feel I owe him a huge debt. And also, the best things about Buffett have nothing to do with investing, but they have everything to do with leading a great life. So the lives of my family and myself have been quite enriched by some of the teachings of Warren. So it was just a means of being able to thank him in person and to support a charity that he strongly believes in. And so in many ways, the lunch actually was just a bonus.
So tell me a little bit about how it has changed your personal life, because you talk a little bit about how it's changed the way you approach your business day to day, how much you have on your calendar, what you're doing. What was that really vital lesson that you learned from Warren Buffett?
Well, of course, we've been learning, at least I've been learning from Warren for better than a decade. But some of the things that got highlighted when we met him for lunch, and actually even more recently in Omaha, is the way he runs his affairs, and just the way he's able to keep his calendar completely empty. He's got more than 200,000 employees. He's got, I think, more than 70 people directly reporting to him. But on a given day, he has no meetings or anything on his calendar. His calendar is empty for weeks ahead. And basically, it frees up a lot of time for him to read and think. Warren doesn't have a BlackBerry. He doesn't have an email account. He has a cell phone, but it's mostly switched off. And many of these things I've actually tried to learn from and actually even adopted. And it's amazing how much noise goes away when you do that.
Yeah, it seems like it's paying off, because as I understand, the fund a year ago lost about 60%. Through June, it looks like the fund, at least the last numbers that I saw, are up 50%. Did it pay off? Was it worth it?
Well, I think, like I said, I think we can't really look at it in a quarter or a few months, but it's definitely good news to be up and down. But one thing I should remind folks who are listening is that if you're down 60% and then if you're up 60%, you're not back to zero yet. So we still are down from our highs. But I'm quite optimistic that we will get back on track, and we're actually doing quite well.
Mohnish, I want to take a moment here. I spoke to Warren Buffett on Friday. I want people to listen to what he said about his investment strategy, and then get some of your tips for people who are watching today. Take a listen to this for a moment.
If I can find things that I think are reasonably priced and that I think I understand, I buy them. I don't attempt to time markets at all. I never give a thought to timing markets. I do price individual companies, and if something looks attractive to me, and it's way more likely to be attractive at 9,000 on the Dow than at 12 or 13,000 on the Dow. I'm likely to find more things. I buy them. I buy them not because I think they're going to go up next week or next month or next year, but because I think I'm bound to make a lot of money over time.
Mohnish, are you doing that? I understand the end of 2008, when the world was coming to an end, that's precisely what you started to do.
Yeah, well, obviously Warren's advice is very timeless and very accurate. Basically, the situation we find ourselves in this time in the global economy is very different from all the other previous cycles. And the big difference is that India and China have very strong growth engines through this period. There are plenty of Chinese companies and plenty of Indian companies that are growing at more than 50% a year. Even in Brazil and so on. So, of course, those markets are overheated. But if you can find a way to tap into that growth. In many cases, you could tap into that growth right here in the U.S. And so what I found in November and December of last year is that there are certain areas and certain businesses which are very strong beneficiaries of the growth in China, but they had been beaten down the most. So, for example, you could buy great mining companies, great commodities companies at 80, 90, 95% off what they were trading at just a few months before.
Right.
And these companies actually are a strong beneficiary of not only the China growth, but they're also a strong beneficiary of inflation in the years ahead. So you were getting actually multiple things going your way, and so it was just a no-brainer time for us. So we actually did a lot of investing in the last 6 weeks of 2008.
All right. Well, Mohnish Pabrai, we want to have you back on the show to give us more of those investment tips and see if we can replicate some of what you're doing this year. Great having you on the show.
Thank you, Alexa.